Hi, my name is Ali. I'm a doctor turned entrepreneur, and I've been making YouTube videos for the last 7 years. I've made over 800 videos, which has required overcoming a lot of perfectionistic tendencies. And I also recently wrote and published a book called Feel Good Productivity, and that also required overcoming a lot of perfectionistic tendencies. And so in this episode of Not Life Advice, we're going to be looking at a guy called Andy, and he's going to share some of his perfectionistic struggles as it relates to growing his YouTube channel, for example. And I'm going to share my honest advice for someone who's a perfectionist in that sense. Now, just a quick caveat, Andy's problem specifically relates to feeling like overthinking-y and perfectionistic-y when it comes to making YouTube videos, but I think the same principles apply with whatever type of perfectionistic tendencies you're struggling with, not just if you're a content creator. So let's get into Andy's question.
Hey, my name's Andy. I am currently working full-time. I have 2 kids. I lead a pretty busy life, and my goal is to develop a YouTube channel that helps busy people create space in their life to do what matters most. This has been something that's been on my heart, in my mind for quite some time, because I just want to help people. That's all I want to do. My problem right now is that I get caught in overthinking and overanalyzing the things that I want to post. And so I have a bit of perfectionism in there, where I overthink all of my content, and I think, is it good enough? Is anybody going to see this? And it takes me so long to actually post something, and I just want to post something, but it's never good enough. So I have posted a few videos. Sometimes I just post because done is better than perfect. And yeah, so how do you overcome over analyzing and overthinking content or things that you need to do? Thank you so much for all the help that you've put out. Book was awesome, by the way. Thanks for that. Still going through it, highlighting for like the 2nd or 3rd time. Thanks. Have a good one.
Alrighty, so that was Andy asking a question about how to overcome perfectionism, how to stop overthinking and just doing the thing rather than thinking about doing the thing. So let's talk about that. Before I answer this question, I want to let you guys into a little bit of insight into my own mind around these things, because people ask me for advice about this sort of stuff, and yeah, I think it might be useful for you to hear what's currently going through my mind. So what's currently going through my mind is that it is 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm here in Boise, Idaho, in the US, to speak at the ConvertKit Craft and Commerce Conference. But because of jet lag flying in from London, I woke up pretty early, and I decided to go for a little walk outside. And then, because it was a nice day and I had this little mini camera with me, I thought, oh, why don't I film a video? And I saw Andy's question and thought, oh, okay, this could be a fun one to do. Now, what's currently going through my mind is, maybe I need to actually be sat at my desk, because when talking about imposter syndrome and perfectionism and overthinking, I'd love to be able to draw like diagrams and stuff to think about it. So maybe now is not the right time to film this video. Another thing going through my mind is like, I'm in this random park in Boise, Idaho. I've never been before in my life. And it's a super nice park, but the freaking lawnmower people are like all around the park. Like there's like a dude there and a dude there and a dude there. And there's this like bzzz kind of background audio. And I can hear it really loudly. And I've got this thing, so I don't know how much it's like canceling the audio. And so what was going through my mind is, maybe I have some things to say to Andy's question, but there's lawnmowers in the background. So maybe maybe I shouldn't make this video right now. Why don't I wait until tomorrow? And then, I'll just wake up early tomorrow and come for another walk. And then hopefully tomorrow, like surely they can't be mowing the lawn 2 days in a row. Maybe it's just like, I don't know, on a Wednesday where they mow the lawn. So like, maybe I shouldn't make this video then. There was also part of me that was thinking, something like a video like this, I really should film it at my desk, because then when I'm at my desk, I can sort of think about what I want to say and what the points for preparing this video are. And all of these thoughts were going through my mind. And one thing that I've gotten good at over time is to recognize when the voice of the saboteur is holding me back. So I talk a lot about this thing with my CEO coach, Eric Partaker. You should check him out on YouTube and LinkedIn and stuff. And Eric calls it the voice of the saboteur. In all of our minds, in all of our brains, there is this voice that is hell-bent on sabotaging whatever creative thing we are trying to do. In The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, he calls it the resistance, the voice of the saboteur. It is not my voice that's saying, oh, you know, maybe I should wait till tomorrow when the lawnmowers are gone. It's not my voice that's saying, you know, maybe I should wait until I'm at desk so I can draw diagrams and shit. It's the voice of the saboteur that is trying to stop me from doing this creative thing. The thing with perfectionism, imposter syndrome, overthinking, generally it does get better when you have expertise in something, right? Like, I no longer feel that much imposter syndrome, perfectionism, overthinking when it comes to videos about like how to grow on YouTube, which I'm filming at my desk. Like, I know how that shit works, right? It's not that hard. But this format of video to me is a little bit different. It's like, I'm filming a video for the main channel. I'm not doing it with the whole fancy camera setup. I'm doing it in a park while walking around. There's people running and cycling around me. It feels kind of awkward. And so this is an area where I don't have enough reps to be able to feel ridiculously confident doing the thing. And therefore, in those instances, the voice of the saboteur is coming online. So I wanted to share that first of all, because I think it might be interesting to hear that, like, someone probably looks at this YouTube channel, we've got 5.5 million subscribers, and thinks that, oh yeah, Ali's made 800 plus videos over the last 7 years. He's got the shit down. But no, like, when it comes to making a video that feels a little bit outside of my wheelhouse, and even often for videos where I'm sitting at my desk, I also feel that voice of, oh, this isn't good enough. Oh, maybe we shouldn't make this video. Oh, maybe I need to prepare more.
Oh, by the way, in case you have not heard, my weekly email newsletter used to be called Sunday Snippets. It's having a bit of a rebrand. It's now called Life Notes. It is a weekly-ish email that I send for free every single week, where I'll be sharing notes that I am taking throughout life. So it's notes from books I'm reading, podcasts I'm listening to, videos I'm watching, conversations I'm having, and stuff that's going on in the business. There'll be a link down below if you want to subscribe or scan this QR code. And anyway, let's get back to the video.
The voice of the saboteur never says, don't do the thing. It says, we can do the thing, but we need to work a lot harder. We need to prepare a lot more. And that's where all this sort of overthinking kind of stuff comes in. You know, if the saboteur was saying, don't do the thing at all, you suck. It's actually easier to dismiss that. Either you just listen to it or you just dismiss it. And so you either do the thing or you don't do the thing. And it's like a lot easier to deal with the saboteur. But when the saboteur says things that are broadly reasonable, like, hey, this video might potentially be seen by a few tens of thousands of people, potentially even hundreds of thousands of people. Holy shit, you know, we've got a responsibility here. We want to make sure the content is good. We don't just want to speak from the heart because, like, what the fuck do we know? We don't want to do it while walking around in a park because, like, the lighting's a bit off and there's like shitty lawnmowers in the background. Nah, we should totally wait. We should wait until tomorrow. We should wait until next week when we're back in London, because we can always film this video later. And you know what? It's like a 12-hour journey back to London. So why don't we, this is a really interesting video idea, how to think about like perfectionism and overthinking and like how to actually do the thing. So we should think about it for another 12 hours before we sit down and actually make the video. This is the voice of the saboteur. We all have this voice of the saboteur inside us. Andy, I know you have the voice of the saboteur inside you. That's probably telling you, with regards to your YouTube videos, it needs more preparation. I do not currently have enough value to give. What if I'm wasting people's time? What if they think, when you really start writing these things down, this is a strategy that can often help. Just like literally writing down what the saboteur is saying. Like, Andy, if you were to figure out like what the saboteur is saying and actually write it down, it might say something like, I must prepare this video for another 20 hours, otherwise it's not valuable enough. Interesting. But like, if a friend were to ask you, Andy, you know, have you got any tips? And you know, you're a dad, you got 2 kids, you got a job, you're starting a YouTube channel, man, how do you make time for it all? Would you say to the friend, genuinely over coffee,
oh, sorry, mate, I've got to do 20 hours of preparation on that before I can even give you a vague semblance of an answer because I'm just really worried I'm not providing enough value to you?
No, of course you wouldn't. If you were talking to a friend and that friend was asking you that specific question, you would be able to just give them a response. You would speak from the heart. You wouldn't be overthinking it. There's something about putting stuff out there on the internet or submitting a work assignment or a homework assignment or whatever the thing might be, where that context of doing the thing is so different from us just being asked a question by a friend. And if we were asked a question by a friend, of course we'd have a great response to the thing. So that is one hack that I found really helpful, like genuinely, is thinking whenever the voice of the saboteur, the voice of perfectionism is in my mind, thinking to myself, okay, if I were to change the context, does that change how I feel about the thing? I had so much perfectionism when it came to my book, right? Because a book is like a serious thing. It's like a piece of paper that's out there in the real world and in bookstores and stuff. I still have yet to see it in a bookstore myself. I've had photos from friends send it to me from various different bookstores. Oh my goodness, people can review it on Amazon. Oh my goodness, what if people don't like the book? Then that's going to be absolutely terrible. Okay, there's a lawnmower in that direction, so let's go back this way. That's going to be absolutely terrible. What if people don't like the book? Holy shit. And so one thing I would say, Andy, or anyone else struggling with imposter syndrome, perfectionism, is what would it look like if you changed the format? And does your perfectionism still hold true if you were to change the context or the format of the thing that you are doing? Tactic number 2 for dealing with perfectionism. Essentially, for me, when I feel that sense of perfectionism, it's a sense of, okay, I am making something at this level of quality, and I want the thing to be at that level of quality, and it's not yet at that level of quality, therefore I must work to get it from here, which is a shitty level of quality, to there, which is a good level of quality. You know, that kind of idea. And this idea is, you know, it's again reasonable. It is not unreasonable to say that, like, you know, my work is here and I want to get it to there, and therefore I have to do more work to get the thing there. The way that I personally get over this is I tell myself that the bar is, does this thing have the potential to help at least one person who is watching it or reading it or listening to it? Does this thing have the potential to help at least one person? It doesn't even have to help that one person, because actually helping them is outside of my control. But does it have the potential to help at least one person? Does this video that I'm filming from the heart without really any preparation, just sort of answering this question that Andy's brought up, does my answer here, does my spiel, however long it ends up being, have the potential to help at least one person? Now, if you're watching this, then by definition, you have found the first bit of this video sufficiently valuable to keep watching, right? That's a weird kind of thought for me, because right now I'm just here on my own in this random park in the middle of nowhere in Boise, Idaho. And so I don't know how people are going to respond to this video. But all I know is my bar is, does this have the potential to help at least one person? And if it does, then I'll post the thing. And if it doesn't, then I won't post the thing. Me photographing a photo of my coffee and posting it on like a YouTube community post, does that have the potential to help at least one person? Probably not. So I wouldn't post a random photo of my coffee on a YouTube community post. This is an idea I stole from Austin Kleon's amazing book, Show Your Work. Show Your Work is a book I read in 2016. I've reread it multiple times since then. I would really recommend Andy or whoever watching this, if you haven't read Show Your Work by Austin Kleon, it's really, really good. That was the book that really helped me get over the fear, the perfectionism, the fear, you know, let's call it fear, like, you know, perfectionism and fear are basically the same thing. It helped me get over the fear of starting a personal website, because I had all sorts of like overthinking about it, etc., etc. And Show Your Work taught me, if your work has the potential to help at least one person along in their journey, then there is almost a moral obligation on you to share that thing and to do that thing and to post that thing. So Andy, you who is overthinking these videos that you're posting on your YouTube channel, it's worth defining what is your bar for quality. Is the bar for quality, I think this has to be really good, because that is actually a really hard bar to meet, especially if you're new to the thing, especially if you're, you know, a little bit harder on yourself than you would be on your friends. What is the bar really? For me, the bar is, does this have the potential to help at least one person? And also, am I proud of it? For me, being proud of something, yeah, I put more work into it, often I'm more proud of it, but often being proud of something, for me, I found a way to turn it into like, I am proud of a thing if it has the potential to help at least one person. I don't overthink my kind of, I try not to overthink my production value, or making sure I've got like multiple cinematic shots, or making sure that like everything is super, super tight in the edit. Because I've tried doing that, and I realized in periods of my life where I was really overthinking my content, the content was just worse, and I was enjoying it less. And one of the major principles of the book, Feel Good Productivity, is that if you can enjoy your work, you become better at it, you become more creative, you become less stressed, become more productive, but you also have more energy to give to the other important areas of your life. I was at this retreat thing in San Francisco a couple of weeks ago, and there was this executive coach. His name is Joe Hudson, absolute legend. He's featuring on the pod shortly. He is like an executive coach to some of Silicon Valley's biggest CEOs that you'll have definitely heard of. And his whole shtick is that enjoyment is efficiency. If you can find a way to enjoy what you're doing and optimize for enjoyment of the process, you will actually do better work than if you are optimizing for trying to do better work. So Andy, a question I would put to you, or anyone else watching this if you're struggling with perfectionism, is what if you weren't concerned about the quality of the thing, and your main goal was in just enjoying the process of creating the thing, whatever the thing might be? What if you weren't concerned about how good it was? What if instead you were only concerned with how can you personally enjoy that process as much as possible? Dare I say, what would it look like if it were fun? This is my phone wallpaper. What would this look like if it were fun? What would it look like if it were fun? You know, this is the whole shtick. What would it look like if it were fun? Finding the fun is another way of combating perfectionism and this overthinking that we get around posting stuff. There's a few other strategies I find helpful for dealing with this sort of thing, because I deal with it a lot. The microcosm of this video that you are now watching is a great example of dealing with perfectionism and stuff. The other thing I think is the voice of the saboteur for me often stops me from even trying. Like before picking up this little camera to film this video, the voice of the saboteur was in my mind saying, nah, we don't need to film, like, come on, like, you know, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, we should wait until we get to the desk, etc., etc. The voice of the saboteur was stopping me from hitting record. But once I've hit record, I've now been recording for 19 minutes. I've enjoyed myself, I'm getting the steps in, it's super nice scenery, it's great vibes. And if I hadn't pressed record, I wouldn't have have made this video, which by definition, if you are watching this, then you've found the last bit sufficiently valuable, and that's a bit of a trippy thought. But the voice of the saboteur was stopping me from pressing record. And so a thing that I've gotten really good at is just telling the voice of the saboteur, like, I'm just going to record it and I don't need to publish it. I'm going to create the thing, but I can always decide to scrap the thing if it sucks. And that often shuts up the saboteur, because then the saboteur is like, oh shit, okay, well, fine. But are you sure? Like, aren't you really tired? Like, you've got a bit of a zit on your nose. Like, do you really want to film the thing right now? Can't we just wait till tomorrow? Oh wow, look at this. It's a freaking river. This is so nice. Guys, is this what every random American city is like? Town, city, Boise, Idaho? The voice of the saboteur is trying to stop me from hitting record. But if I can just convince the voice that, hey, we don't need to publish this. We're just going to create it and see what happens. Then, you know, it's hard for the saboteur to stay in sabotaging mode. What I find with a lot of YouTubers is that there's a lot of resistance to pressing the record button. I get this as well, even for filming proper videos when I'm sitting at my desk. There's a lot of resistance to just hitting record. But once I hit record and once I start talking, then, like, I don't know, the creative spirit moves within me, or whatever terminology you want to use for this. Now that I'm 20 minutes into the video, I kind of know in my mind, oh, okay, actually, I think this might actually be a reasonable video. Reasonable just being the bar for, I think this video might potentially add value to at least one person who's watching this. One thing that I find when it comes to YouTube videos is that for more than 50% of the videos that I've ever filmed, after filming it, I have felt like, ugh, that was terrible. But then, for about 98% of videos, once it's been edited, and I've had like a couple of weeks to not see the video and to not be so in my head about it, I then think, oh, that's actually not bad. Because when we're filming videos and when we're doing a first draft of a book or a manuscript or a thing, whatever the thing might be, when you're in the creation of it, it's a very messy process. This process right now of creating this video feels very messy to me. I'm sort of pulling stuff in from different areas of my life, from different parts of my brain, and I'm like, I don't really know how it's all going to fit together. But I've done this enough times now that I trust that from rough cut, from first draft, from raw video recording to finished product, there is actually a large amount of magic that happens in post, that happens in the edit, where we can chop out any ums and ahs and mistakes, and sometimes we'll artfully leave the mistakes in because the mistakes are nice and humanizing and stuff. I know that the end product, post-editing, is often quite reasonable. And so I've done this enough times that when the voice of the saboteur says, don't film the video, it might suck, I'm like, I'm going to film the video anyway. If it sucks, I can always delete it. But if I were to put money on it, I would say that this video is a video that we're going to publish on the main channel. It's probably going to be good enough. And you know what? If it's not, we'll put it on the second channel. Either way, this video is going to get published somewhere on the internet, and I hope it'll add value to at least one person. That's a thought that's in my mind as I'm confronting the saboteur. Principle number 6 or 7 or whatever we are now, I have even lost count, but that's okay because we're going to fix it in post, right? Editing team, please, thank you. Principle number whatever I'm on is a phrase I heard from Cal Newport, who is the mega best-selling author of the books Deep Work and So Good They Can't Ignore You, and most recently Slow Productivity, which is a great book. And Cal gave me some advice about book writing a couple of years ago when I was in the throes of writing my own book. I asked him, how often do you deal with perfectionism, and like, how do you, don't you think that your work sucks? In the sense, like, don't you think it sucks in the process of making it? And like, I was having all of these thoughts that my book was crap and that it wasn't worth publishing and stuff. And Cal said to me, and he's been writing for like 2 decades, so about 10 times longer than I have. He said to me, oh, I get that all the time. I tell myself one thing, this one just needs to be reasonable. The next one is going to be good. This one just needs to be reasonable, the next one is going to be good. So when Cal was working on his book, Slow Productivity, he told himself, you know what, Slow Productivity doesn't need to be a good book. It just needs to be reasonable. The next one is going to be good. And he says, he told me that he repeated that thing to himself for every book that he wrote, and he's written like 6, 7 of them now, and is super successful at it. This one just needs to be reasonable. The next one is going to be good. So Andy, when it comes to that thing that you are struggling with, that thing that you're feeling the perfectionism, the overthinking, the overanalyzing, I can't put this thing out there. What if you just lowered the bar? What if you said this one just needs to be reasonable? And reasonable, again, you can define as, it just needs to have the potential to help at least one person. That's reasonable. This video, I think this is going to be a reasonable video. I don't think it's going to be a good video, because I don't like thinking of my videos as good, but that's fine. It just needs to be reasonable. The goal is not to make a good video. The goal is to add value to someone else's life. Which leads me to the next point, which may be the final point, which is that I think a lot of perfectionism stems from sort of a focus on the self and a focus on one's own ego. That I can't possibly put this thing out there, because if I put this thing out there, then people will think of me as bad in some way, because the thing might be bad or whatever. It's not usually, from speaking to people and from hearing it myself, that it's not usually this thing would be completely useless to everyone who's watching it. It's not usually that, because usually that's an easy one to eliminate. Like, really, it's gonna be completely useless? So people will watch it, they'll sit through it, and they will find it, 100% of people are gonna find it completely and utterly useless to the point they're gonna get zero shred of value from it. That seems a bit unlikely. Usually, we're not actually being perfectionistic because we care about the audience so much, because we really value their time. Like, oh my goodness, I'm so perfectionistic about my PhD dissertation because I value the time of my examiner and I don't want to be mean to them in creating a shitty product. It's usually not that. It's usually, I don't want this thing to go out there because I am afraid I will be thought of as bad for having put this thing out there, which does not meet some arbitrary standard. And usually we find that our own standards for ourselves are like ridiculously high, and often excessively high, and often unhelpfully high. It's a focus on the self. And at least for me, what I found as a way of combating perfectionism is to remove the focus from myself and put it on someone else. Again, just this idea of, I'm not creating this video for myself. You know, I can do other things for fun. If I were trying to have fun, I'd be watching YouTube videos. I'd be finishing The Last of Us, the TV show. I'd be, I don't know, playing on my Nintendo Switch. That's what I do for fun. I am not doing this video for me. I'm doing this video because I think it potentially has the potential to help at least one person. It is about the other person that I could potentially help with this video. It doesn't matter if the thing is not perfect. You can just ask yourself, like, have you ever gotten value from a YouTube video that the creator might have thought is not perfect? Probably. Maybe if you're watching this, Andy, or whoever you are watching this, this is not a perfect YouTube video. This is not the sort of YouTube video a YouTube guru, i.e. me, would tell people like, oh yeah, you should make this video to grow your channel. But the fact you're here and watching this means that you have found enough value from this video to continue watching it, which is very gratifying, so thank you for being here so far. So Andy, again, it just comes down to this thing. When you're being perfectionistic about your YouTube videos, I suspect, if you're anything like me, it's because you don't want your ego to be bruised from the thought that, God forbid, you might put something out there, but you might put out something there that that's not meeting some arbitrary quality bar that you've created for yourself in your own mind. But if you were to remove that focus from the self and think about it from the context of the people that you're serving, because this is an act of service, making a YouTube video, it's not an act of selfishness, it's an act of service. And when you do anything in the spirit of service, that is also one of the things that stops the voice of the saboteur from creating these like perfectionistic narratives that eventually end up leading to lives that we don't particularly enjoy. Anyway, one of the things about being a YouTuber, one of the things about doing any creative act is that there is a balancing act between the soul and the numbers, or the soul and the statistics. And often soul comes from being under-optimized in how you do things. I hope that when this video comes out and when I see the edited version, it will feel like a soulful video. It'll be like, oh, this was merely Ollie talking from the heart, going for a walk and sharing stuff that he's found useful. That's nice. This video is not going to go viral, right? The goal of this video is not to try and get 5 million views. The goal of this video, as I've said repeatedly, is simply to potentially provide value to at least one person who's watching it. And so, as I was thinking about, what should my end screen sales pitch be for this particular video, because that's what you should do as a YouTuber, I'm like, you know what? Actually, I can let go of that. I can let go of that need for the statistics. You know, obviously we'll still title and thumbnail this video in a reasonable way, and we'll do like a bit of a hook at the start and stuff, like, fine. there's sensible things we can do to increase the reach of this video, because then it helps more people. And framing it in that sense helps me feel less icky about doing like algorithm hacky type stuff, retention hacking, and like trying to keep people interested in the video. So if you are here at the end of this ridiculously long video, you are the sort of person that I would probably vibe with because we probably have good things to talk about. But I'd love to hear in a comment down below, what is one thing you're struggling with? Because I love making these sorts of videos where I'm just sort of speaking from the heart and sharing stuff that I find useful. And often a lot of the struggles of you guys are things that I've been through at various stages of my life and still probably go through today. And so I like being able to share from the heart and just chatting about things that might potentially, as I said, help at least one person. So what is something that you are struggling with that you might like my take on? If you can leave that as in a comment as a question, that would be super helpful. Also, if you would like to submit a video question in the same way that Andy did, we'll put a link to that video submission thingy. I want to do more content like this where it's just really fun for me to be able to answer someone's question directly and turn it into like a freaking 35-minute long sermon. It's just fun. You know, what would this look like if it were fun? I asked myself this question about my YouTube channel a lot, and one of the things I've landed on is, oh, well, if it were fun, I'd be answering questions from the audience. I wouldn't just be coming up with a video topic and then deciding to make videos about it. I would be like, yeah, answering a question from the audience so that I can feel that there's genuinely someone on the other end, because otherwise it's hard to appreciate like the numbers and what that means in terms of there being real life people on the other end. And now, because we might as well do the retention thing, if you have not yet seen my video, my honest advice for someone wanting financial freedom, you might like to check out that video over there. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully you got some value out of this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.